Pizzo here with a new story, and one I've been highly anticipating on, What If Vegeta Came to Earth. I've been having this one in the back pocket since I started these what ifs months ago, and not because Vegeta is just my favorite character, but even though he is my favorite character, but that's besides the point. And to note, I was heavily inspired by Dragon Garo's Lee's Dragon Ball Sai narrated by the great Mondo, with the link to his channel will be in the description if you want to see that concept, as a lot of my story follows the same pattern, but I'll try to make a little twist and turn so I won't get copyrighted or anything of that nature. So with that, I hope you guys... In the far reaches of the galaxy, on a distant planet called Vegeta, we enter a castle where hesitant King Vegeta sits anxiously on his throne, waiting to hear back from Lord Frieza about their upcoming arrival for a meeting, even though he feels something is very off, as Frieza hardly ever visited him or any Saiyan out of the ordinary. He would usually send orders through troops or from Zarbon and Midoriya. But as the king tries to sit and process the situation, the queen of the Saiyans, Rashina, enters the throne room looking for the king hastily. Before an army of Frieza soldiers burst through the windows and doors of the castle, Rashina quickly ducks to hide before they could sense her power level as the king vastly looks up, realizing he didn't have a scouter present to detect the power levels of the soldiers present or prepare for the oncoming onslaught. It was a setup the entire time, before they quickly charged the king, pinning him down, as Zarbon menacingly floats down above the king, landing at the soldiers and annoyingly asks what they should do with the Saiyan, as they receive an icy look from the humanoid, before he demands them to carry him to Frieza's ship for the apparent meeting, and commands the force to scout the area. But annoyingly, we zoom to the apparent mother of Vegeta, Queen Rashina, who has watched in anger, only to see her beloved fall so easily, as she spits to the side in typical Vegeta fashion, calling him a disgrace. Now for my hardcore fans, let me note, we don't know the information of Vegeta's mother, or if he even had one for that matter. As for years, the mother of Goku, Gine, was unknown up until the Broly movie, along with the DB- arc, which I don't think is canon, but for the sake of this what if, I'm going to be making her canon in this story, while still noting Akira Toriyama haven't given us any info on Vegeta's mother, so don't come for me guys. Just enjoy the story. Now returning back to Frieza's ship, Zarbon arrives at Frieza's quarters, dropping the angered king to his knees before he screams out to Frieza, demanding to know the meaning of this tyranny, before the egotistical Frieza looks down at the king before giving a sigh, while turning dramatically, explaining that he plans to wipe out all of the Saiyans, exclaiming them to be an overbearing primitive race that will soon stand in the way of his empire and power. As a bleak and empty expression fills the King Vegeta's face, as Frieza only increases his smile before the king rises up in anger, clenching his fist, claiming the Saiyans have been nothing but loyal to the Empire, before charging the Emperor in a burst of rage. Before he could get an inch close, Frieza had already sent a beam straight through his heart, instantaneously ending him. Zarbon, be a dear and clean this filth off my floor. I have a planet to decimate. Now you all must also wonder, why would Frieza just, out of the blue, kill the Saiyan? Well, for this story, I'ma go with Beerus had finally grown sick of the Saiyans' barbaric and cultural ways and orders him to eradicate the race. With Frieza already happy to do so, while he had been felt the desire to end the Saiyans anyway, as in canon, but Beerus was going to, but Frieza had already did so out of suspicion. And also on planet Vegeta, we find a young prince preparing to exit the planet with Raditz and Nappa and a few other Saiyans to take on their next assignment by Frieza, before the queen wishes to see the prince hastily, with Vegeta vastly confused to why his mother asked to see him, as he knows she would never willingly ask her son of anything, before flying to her location, using the scouter to sense her power level, as Raditz and Nappa look on in confusion, tempted to follow the prince before overhearing the Frieza soldiers on their scouter while desperately looking back. While the young Vegeta hastily arrives at the royal castle, as his mother the queen prepares to escape the planet, telling him the king was dead, as the young prince looks on highly perplexed, as the queen goes on to say she assumes so by the prior kidnapping by the Frieza forces, and the prince looks to his mother in confusion and despair before she opens the royal pod, setting destinations for a nearby planet for herself. The prince stands in silence, not seeing the reason by her apparent cowardness, but she knows the soon fate of their race as she overheard by Frieza on the scouter, flashes of him planning to decimate Planet Vegeta, as both their scholars start detecting incoming power levels and they're moving in fast before out of nowhere all the soldiers burst in preparing to finish off the two as the queen hastily runs to Vegeta, who has gotten in his battle stance before a blast is hurled through the corner of his eyes, while the queen quickly grabs the prince, who wonders why she would save him. After just preparing to vacate the planet, she throws him inside the pod as he looks on to see his mother, the queen of all Saiyans, get attacked at all angles. With a whirlwind of emotions, plaguing young Saiyan as the last thing he sees is Dodoria stepping in with a cold smile, blasting his mother while the pod takes off into the sky and off into space. While also on planet Vegeta, Gine and Bardock send Kakarot off just as per normal, with his pod coming up the course where Frieza's ship is the only difference, as Kikuno walks in, informing the tyrant of the oncoming pod going off course, as the Emperor quickly orders his subordinate to collect said pod, not willing to let a single Saiyan exit his grasp, while unknowingly to him, Prince Vegeta had already exited off on another end of the planet, and with the rest going as per normal to canon, with Bardock's last attack to Frieza failing and the planet being blown to orbit flies, while a young Vegeta sits aboard, replaying the events over and over before slowly going under stasis, and under a few hours, a sleeping prince slowly opens his eyes to the sound of rumbling and a fiery ball seemingly around him. With the pod going off, preparing to land on Earth in 5 minutes, he hears and he braces himself before realizing the pod isn't slowing down. He's going to crash land. He closes his eyes with his apparent last image being his mother getting blasted away. So what do you guys think of this what if concept? It was meant to be longer, but I shortened it due to more editing issues. I've been having those a lot lately. I mean, I am the only one making these and writing, so sometimes I just get a little overwhelmed. But I promise the next part will be longer than the usual vids, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.